Welcome to Wealth Learning TV here on YouTube. I wanted to update you on what's happening with the channel and where we're going with the projects and programs and the notion of this platform called WELLth Movement. I wanted to bring you up to date with what's happening. And it's been a wonderful journey over the last couple of months to get to this point and to be able to share with you what is important for us here at WELLth Movement for solo aging confidently. Isn't that great? I think it's a wonderful, wonderful focus that we can improve upon and strengthen for those who are enjoying this element of life called aging. So the notion of living and aging, there's a point in time in our living when we start to use the word aging to indicate something that's going on in our life. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. So to be able to get to this component, it took us a little while, and us is some of my friends who I call WELLthers. There are people who have some sense of what wealth is about, and I'm going to share that term a little bit more again, just to remind you of, or those who are new to the channel, what these terms mean. But it's also, there's going to be persons along the way that I'm going to invite into the channel to share their ideas about this thing called solo aging confidently. And I've started to line up some of those persons. So I'm using this we. It's not like a royal we. It's actually a very focused we that I'm bringing forward so that you get to meet them. And I'm going to look forward to having those conversations, bringing them to you, and putting them up as videos here on the channel. I just want to acknowledge that I have two other channels. Another one is based on nature and awareness and forests, and another is on mentoring, and I have that with a co-creator, and I'll share over time a little bit more about those channels as well. But we're going to focus in on the WELLth Learning TV and to be able to bring that forward for you today. So to get this started, I've already hinted at this term of aging, notion of ager, but let's put it in context to the next 50. Some people say that there's three acts: first act, second act, third act. There are some who say, well, there's your first 50 and your next 50. There's different terms to bring forward this notion of, while we're living from our birth year to our transition year, this living of life, there's a point in time where a word like aging comes in and you start perking up. You go, hang on a minute, what's going on there? I think I'm in a place of aging. I might consider myself an ager. Another person might say, well, I'm an older, or I'm an older being an elder, or I'm an elder. There's other terms that get associated with this notion of aging while we're living. I've chosen ager, but in particular, I've chosen solo ager and this notion of solo aging. And I've done that is because it is more of a lifestyle that I live. And the notion here is that there isn't immediately available to me family, really close friends who I can lean into if I need assistance. In other words, I am aging, I'm living primarily by myself. There are a few friends around, but not in the same extent as a lot of people have family close to them that they can lean into when they find themselves in some kind of difficulty or requiring health assistance, financial assistance, these kind of ideas. So I'm a solo ager, and I acknowledge that. I'm actually, if I went even further, I'm a gray digital nomad solo ager. And that's a bit of a mouthful. I get that. But this idea of solo ager, it's something that I have been living with for years and years and years. So I have a solo living lifestyle. And in there, one of the things that I have been exploring to be able to assist others, I've been looking for what's my purpose? What's my legacy story that I want to bring forward in this next 50? And I kept looking for a word that I thought would go, oh, okay, this would give me my focus, something I can improve upon, something I could strengthen even for myself. And that word, the word of currency, what is current to me right now, is the word confidence. And one of the things that I've been finding in my research are stories of persons who find themselves aging, solo aging, and losing a little bit of their confidence. They've forgotten what it means to remain relevant, or to think about, how do I leverage my experience? How do I create a legacy and share that? And this word confidence kept coming up in the research that I was doing. And I went, you know what? I think there's something to be said for solo aging confidently and solo age confidence. Now I'm playing a little bit with words here. So the solo aging confidently has that sort of verb flavor to it. The solo age confidence has that noun flavor to it. And I wanted to bring those forward for you so that you might be able to come to understand them and appreciate them, because they may apply to you, as or they may apply to someone that you know, and you're going, their life might be going through something a little bit difficult. Maybe what you're offering might be of use to them, or you're going, there's some friends of mine who could probably really benefit from this. They're entering their next 50, they're 55, 60, and they're sort of scratching their heads going, okay, what is it that I want to do? What do I want to be? What do I want to have? And you're going, I remember watching this video from the WELLth Learning TV from WELLth Movement. Why don't I recommend it to them? And I thought, this would be a good time to sort of share with you a little bit more about what's going on, because you might know those persons, and or it's you. So let's take a look at it from this perspective. I'm going to look at WELLth Movement as an ecosystem. I have quite a background in nature, the outdoors, activities, research, studies, degrees, all of that. And a word like ecosystem has a lot of meaning for me, like ecological system, about how do trees and forests interact with one another, the ecology of those forests and trees, and the systems that go with that in terms of like the crown, the trunk, the roots. What are the systems that are there? But by extension, and almost metaphorically, you could take it over and look at ecosystem in general. Now, what I wanted to do is bring forward is this ecosystem, WELLth Movement as an ecosystem, is to think about it is that it frames up this interconnected community of persons who are being for the world and with the planet. Now, the idea here is persons getting together because of interests, coming together because of situations in their lives, coming together because they want to share legacy and they're looking for some assistance. And what they're doing is that they're being for the world. In other words, something that they're doing or that their interest is for humanity, for the built environment. And then there are others who are looking at what does it mean to be with the planet and thinking about nature informed, nature aware solutions, nature based solutions, words like that, green initiatives. And they're looking for assistance maybe from a legacy project as well. So WELLth Movement is now leaning into an ecosystem of what it means to bring persons together in community and being for the world and with the planet. Sometimes they cross over, so I'm going to acknowledge an and there between them. Now, it's about these interactions for those persons and the flow of energy that takes place. Now, in this notion of energy, there are things that we do, social, cultural, technological, environmental, economical, political. There are these kind of categories, and there's energy that are flowing in that, what I call the steep approach to living one's life, the steep approach to community, and talking about what matters in that system. So this notion of being able to get together persons and communities to be able to figure out what they can do together to be for the world with the planet is what I'm after. And as I unfold this a little bit more with you, is that what we're looking at is how do we balance off the connections that people have in these communities? Because one of the things for social good, to make the world better, the planet better, is to be able to balance of this interactions that take place in the communities between persons and together with persons. I understand that, for social good, the communities, these legacy projects that you might bring to the foreground is really about small groups of persons doing something. And all of these different kinds of small groups, these communities interacting, will bring forward this notion of social good. And that's what I'm really interested in. How can I do that? In particular with those who are aging, agers, and in particular, solo agers. Now, these communities that would get created in this ecosystem is for reasons of stability and supporting those interactions. If I can bring that forward as a way in which to help you out, or your friends, or the combination, to provide some kind of stability, something to come and stand on as you're doing what you're doing, and to support the interactions that you're having through some of the ideas that I'll share with you here, then I'm doing something that's of value. It's going to improve focus and strengthen not only your lives, my life, but also what it means to be for the world and with the planet. Now, the other thing that I'd like to bring forward is to be able to do this all without wasting the wise use of time or the money. And I have found along the way, even in my own life, how I've wasted my time, my effort, and my money doing things that really didn't do any social good. They may have flattered my ego, but they didn't necessarily bring forward something of social good. Now, I'm not saying, there are those times in our youth when, going out and doing something and having fun with it may not lead to social good. I get that. I understand that. And I guess now, as I'm a solo ager, I'm finding that I don't want to waste my time, effort, and money. And I don't know about you. I leave that with you as you ponder that question as well. So this notion of not wasting time, effort, and money, then what will it bring? And it's this notion of clarity and confidence through commitment and understanding our consequences. Now, there's something that's important here that I just want to bring forward, and it's to bring this notion of confidence to the foreground. I mentioned that already, but to really bring it to the foreground. And confidence in this way is about our assuredness, a self-assertiveness, is to really come to understand who am I and what I be, have, and do. And to be able to do that is to believe in what are my capabilities? What am I ready, willing, and able to bring forward? What is my capacity to give and gift? What is it that's there? So that I can sort of come to truly understand character skills and character elements of my life, like relevance. How do I remain relevant? Resilience. How do I engage in activities that I might find are a bit of a challenge, but yet I don't fall into dysfunction as I work through those challenges to get to the other side in a place that's probably better than when I went in. And how do I benefit with reciprocity? Is that if I give and gift, what is it that's happening? There's elements of my younger years, I'll just use a personal story here, that there was some person said to me is that you tend to take more than you give. And I had to scratch my head and attempt to figure out what that meant. And then I started to realize is that in my life as a solo ager, when I was invited for meals, I sometimes didn't always reciprocate by taking them out to meals or inviting them over to my home, because I got caught in this notion of, well, from a solo aging, my home isn't the same as their home. There is a different sense of it. Yet I could still have invited them over and cooked them a meal, but I wasn't thinking of it that way. I wasn't feeling that. And so some of my friends over the years have said, you tended to do a bit more taking than giving. And I guess that's really started to come home now to roost as I'm thinking about this notion of my legacy story. Where am I going with that? And that's what I wanted to bring forward now, is to take a look at what might be considered some really important words in this pursuit of this creation, this use of this ecosystem, inviting you to get involved with it. And I'm going to unpack 7 key words here for you. And you will find earlier videos about these words as well. But this is the newest version of what I am going to be offering, bringing forward. So the notion of WELLth Movement is the name of the company. Yet you have to look at the words wealth and movement separately. Movement being about this notion of the physical aspects of movement, all the way up to social cultural movement that is attempting to do something of a social good or to right some wrongs, that idea. And then there's this notion of the physical aspect about the movement that you on any given day, walking, running, bicycling, whatever it might be, the kind of movement that you get involved with. With the wealth, also, it's the notion of well-being for self and well-living with others, and to be able to find that dynamic interaction that happens between those, because it's about well-being and well-living to the nth degree. So when I bring WELLth Movement out, yes, it's the name of the company, but it's also 2 important words that I'm bringing forward to ignite interest for you, to provide insights and ideas, to be able to bring forward interpretations, investigations that I have been gaining with time. And then I want to bring forward this notion of legacy. And legacy in the sense of the useful whats that you gift others so that they might learn something from your lived experience. And I'll dive into this more and more as time goes by. But another word that goes with it, or a couple of words that go with this, would be like, I call them hashtags, you know them as hashtags, is legacy a life, living legacy, legacy project, these kind of words, hashtag words that I'll be bringing forward and sharing with you what are my legacy projects. I've hinted at them already. One is about forest and trees called Awareness. Another legacy is around mentoring, and I'll be bringing those out as time goes by. But how do I bring this story of legacy for you that you might then say, well, what is my legacy as a solo ager or as someone who's aging, and looking at what that means for myself and or friends. I could be with the family. There's all different ways in which to unpack this. There's also this notion of safety, and I bring it to the foreground at this point because there's a lot of persons who find themselves in mental health distress. Um, the emotions are a little out of whack for themselves. They might find that there might be some physical ailments, and that presents safety. And I will go so far as the solual, this multi-sense aspect, that there's a lot more to the world than just the five senses. And what's happening is that you're finding yourself being challenged in a lot of different ways. There's a term called psychological safeties. I'll extend it to social psychological safety. I'll even go so far as to say holistic social psychological safety. There's a lot of these words starting to pop up about how to take care of ourselves, how to take care with others, and how to ask for assistance. There's this safety aspect of what's going on. And it's the notion of safe systems and safer practices. And I would like to take a look at those a little bit more as time goes by. Another area, and I've hinted at it with the mentoring, is what is the story of education in your life, continuous learning, continuous education opportunities? How might you assist others through something like mentoring? How do you leverage your experience? How do you remain relevant in what you do? Education as a background story is something that's very important to me because it's actually where I did my doctorate, was in the field of education. And I've written around this, and I'm going to bring it out through more books and workbooks, and bring it forward to sort of heighten the awareness of how education leans into a legacy that could become a movement, and see what it does to help you out. What I also want to do is take a look at this whole thing called experience, extraordinary experiences. I appreciate there are good, great, memorable, remarkable, extraordinary experiences. And it was something that I really leaned into for a number of years, especially when I was interacting with organizations, doing organization group and team development, organization culture work, is how to create and why create extraordinary experiences. And to be able to do that, one has to look at it from a safety point of view. How does education lean into that? But also, what kind of extraordinary experiences can I create myself to assist my legacy? And being able to use legacy as a way to create extraordinary experiences with others. There's something there. And how might extraordinary experiences be framed as a movement? So, again, lots to unpack and have some fun with. The other one is nature. And again, I've hinted at this, forest and trees, and something called awareness that I'm working with. And I'll be providing more links to this as time goes by in the other YouTube channels. Any time is when you go into the show more notes or the notes around where this video is found, you'll find references to other links to videos and articles. But the idea of nature as a self-care companion and living systems educator, there's a lot unfolding in this connection with nature, both literally and metaphorically. And I would like to bring that forward for you because I use a lot of metaphors based on nature, and like the use of pathway and path stones, and the idea of being able to take a look at the creation of bridges across rivers and how to make connections from one side to the other. There are lots of ways in which I'm going to bring the story of nature forward, how to use trees and forests as a way to take a look at legacy and living legacy life. So a lot's going to unfold as I bring this whole story forward. And I thought that what would happen here is by bringing these 7 words forward in a much what I'll call deeper, richer way, and bringing it through this video, and I'll be using it as a way to introduce what's happening on the channel, is I would also like to just acknowledge what I call the 5 Ps, the five, the 5 Ps. And what it does is it just reminds me that in this work I'm doing through WELLth Movement is that I'll be bringing products, practices, projects, programs, and the platform together. So in many ways, the platform is WELLth Movement in the sense of an ecosystem, this social cultural movement. But the idea of what are programs, programs are just made up of a series of projects. So I'm thinking about my legacy program I personally have, which is to assist those create their legacy, but it's also to take a look at mentoring as a legacy program, is to take a look at Awareness as Forest and Trees program put together. So these are programs that I'll be sharing, but there's also in there different kinds of programs that I'd be bringing forward, like the Legacy Accelerator program, the Legacy Mastery program. And then there are projects that I'm going to get involved with. Now, these projects, usually if you bring a couple of projects together, they form a program underneath a platform, sort of like that doll inside a doll inside a doll kind of metaphor. And the practices, sometimes you would know these as services, so coaching and mentoring, instructing and facilitating. These ways, these practices, I'll be bringing those forward, and those practices I would use in supporting the projects, and those projects come together, form the programs, and those programs form this platform. So there's also the notion of products, this notion of tangible aspects. Now, some of them might be ebooks, but I'm also publishing books over on Amazon, ones that you can buy, have it delivered, and you can actually touch right into it. And then there's the ebook version of it that you may want to get a hold of. So you can download a page and write into it, or to do it on your computer is right into it as well. But there are a notion of the products that support it. I will also look at things like t-shirts and hoodies. I'm not sure that I'm going to go to trying selling you sunglasses or mugs, but mugs, maybe, we'll see. But I just wanted to acknowledge the 5 Ps of this ecosystem that bring forward as I put it all together. And therefore, what I'm doing is I'm bringing this story of the ecosystem, the 5 Ps, the 7 words, and bringing it forward so that you might understand that there is a really important reasons for I'm doing this. It's to bring forward the information, but also to do it in a way that you can interact with me so that you can get the transformation. If there's anything that I have learned in my life going forward, is that persons, while they're interested in information and it helps out, is getting the guidance for the transformation that's more important. So while I'm going to be sharing the notions of lists and identification and descriptions and explanations, I'm also going to go, how can you actually use what I'm talking about? How can you demonstrate it for yourself? How might you manage it? How might you use it to lead, to actually get into the transformation, to go into a different form? It's one thing to learn about how to create a legacy project, but it's to actually manage and lead that legacy project that's going to be important. And that's why something like legacy mastery is to frame up, to discover, shape, and get ready to share the beginnings of your legacy project, just testing the water. Some people use beta testing. And then there's like something like Legacy Accelerator, which is you're committed to discover, to shape, to decide to share this legacy project. You need a mentor along the pathway to get this going. It's more than just beta. You really want it to happen, and it's going to make a transformation not only for yourself, but also to the recipients that you're going to deliver it, and contributors who are going to get involved. It's more than information. It's actually into transformation. And that's what I'm looking to do as I move all of this forward. So I wanted to share this with you as an introduction to the channel, the WELLth Learning TV channel, because the importance of all this is to bring forward this notion that the ecosystem of WELLth Learning TV in support of WELLth Movement as a movement about solo aging confidently is going to bring out these 7 words, these 5 P's as a way in which to bring it out to you. So yes, there will be free and there'll be paid product services and experiences for you. And to make sure that you're clear that it's not just information where, okay, it's a book, great, I'll read it. It's actually, how do I put it into action, the transformation that goes with them. That's what is that I have the commitment to that. I have the capacity to do it, the capabilities to do that, and you can learn more about that. And I will be shooting a series of 5 to 7 minute videos and bringing out different components of this story for you so that you might get it in smaller chunks, if you may. And with each of those videos, there will be some how-tos, how to leverage it, how to move into, use, demonstrate, manage, lead, assess, review, these kind of words. And to be able to get to a point where you then say, I'd like to discuss this with me. I want to discuss this with my friends. I want to discuss this with the communities where I want to bring some social good to. So there's a lot that's going to happen here, and I'm looking forward to this. I'm just so looking forward to being able to bring this to the foreground and being for the world and with the planet, interacting with you. And there are different ways you can interact with me. There is, subscribe, like, comment. Those are ways in which to do it. Maybe there's a comment that you'd like to share. You might find this video on the website. There will be the contact form link that you can find there. Reach out. I would so enjoy having a conversation with you. Maybe you want to book a 15-minute conversation. Great, we can do that as well. So there's lots of ways to interact. So I think I'm coming up to a close of this video. I so welcome you into the world that is called the WELLth Movement. And to be able to say to you is that from a social aging confidently perspective, WELLthmovement.com, WELLth Learning TV on YouTube is dedicated to support you and whatever I can do to help you out through the years that are still available to me, I'm going to do my best to be for you, to be the best with you. And I look forward to that unfolding in many, many different kinds of ways. So with that, take care.